REI has ultralight backpacking gear. So for you gram counters and ounce shavers, we made this ad ultralight with a base weight of just 13 seconds. The next 17 seconds, pure trail. Find more with less in-store and at rei.com.
What does reframing mean, and why is it important for your mental health? And how can you reframe things? Well, that's what I'm talking about in this episode of Let's Talk About Mental Health, the weekly podcast that makes better mental health simple. Ready to learn how to reframe your thinking? Then get comfortable and let's talk. Hello and welcome to episode 245 of Let's Talk About Mental Health, and thanks for joining me as I talk about reframing. I'm Jeremy Godwin, and this isn't your regular podcast full of interviews and random opinions. I'm a mental health counsellor and writer, and each week I look at one specific aspect of mental health, and I teach you simple and practical ways to improve your well-being based on quality research and my own experience of learning to live with anxiety and depression after a breakdown in 2011 that changed my life. In this episode, I'll be talking about what reframing is, why reframing is helpful for your mental health, and how to reframe things. So, let's talk. Imagine this. You're stuck in a traffic jam, running late for an important appointment. If you live in the city, it's bumper-to-bumper traffic as far as the eye can see. If you live in the countryside, like I do, it's more likely a massive herd of sheep that are blocking the road, something that has happened to me twice in the past month. Whatever the circumstances are, frustration starts to bubble up, and you can feel your stress levels rising. But then you remember you have a choice. Do you focus all your energy on the thing that you have no control over? Or do you accept that what is what is, and decide to consciously look at things from a different angle? Like using the time you have to turn up the volume and suddenly transform your traffic jam into a thoroughly enjoyable karaoke session. This is what reframing is all about, turning potentially stressful moments into opportunities for joy, calm, and peace of mind. The good news is that this isn't anything particularly complicated to do, and it's about choosing your mindset. For example, even a single word in your thought process can make an enormous difference, like when you think, I can't do this yet, instead of I can't do this. Adding that one simple word, yet, opens up an entire world of possibilities and hope. And it reminds you that with time, effort, and perseverance, things can and will change for the better. It's a simple mindset shift that can make challenges feel more like stepping stones, instead of these enormous and insurmountable obstacles. And it serves to really highlight the incredible impact that reframing can have on your mental health. I'll explain that in more detail shortly, but first, let's get ourselves on the same page with some definitions and let's talk about what is reframing. So, in simple terms, reframing is about actively looking at a situation, thought, or emotion from a different perspective. It's like adjusting the lens through which you view your experiences, allowing you to see things in a new light or from a different position, which is why it's also commonly referred to as looking at things from a different angle. Making a shift in your perspective can totally transform how you understand and respond to a situation, and it can and will completely change how you deal with life's challenges, opening up lots of new possibilities for growth and resilience. So, hooray! Now, let's talk about what reframing means on a practical level. So imagine you're preparing a big presentation and your computer crashes, losing all your work. Your initial reaction might be panic and frustration, and fair call. It's not an ideal situation, and I'm sure nobody would choose for that to happen. But happen it did. So now it's done, and you need to deal with it. So, what if you chose to reframe the situation instead of focusing on the loss and getting angry and worked up over something that you can't control and definitely cannot change? Instead, you could choose to see it as an opportunity to rethink and improve your presentation, perhaps even simplifying it for greater impact. By changing your perspective, the situation itself doesn't change, but your experience of it does. It's a simple shift that can massively reduce stress and help you stay calm and focused. Another example of practical reframing is in how you interpret feedback. Let's say you receive some constructive criticism at work. Your first instinct might be to feel defensive or discouraged. However, if you reframe the feedback as an opportunity to improve and grow, it then becomes a valuable learning experience rather than a personal attack. And this more positive outlook can enhance your professional development and boost your confidence. In the context of mental health and well-being, reframing plays a crucial role in how you manage your thoughts and emotions. Our minds often default to negative thinking patterns, especially during stressful times, and so conscious reframing helps us to challenge these automatic thoughts and replace them with more balanced and positive ones. For example, if you catch yourself thinking, I'm a failure because I didn't achieve my goal, you can choose to reframe it to, I may not have reached my goal this time, but I've learned valuable lessons, and I can always try again. You'll find that this more positive, optimistic, and compassionate perspective encourages a greater sense of self-worth and helps to reduce feelings of hopelessness. Reframing is also essential in managing anxiety. When we're faced with a daunting or difficult situation, our minds can often spiral into worst-case scenarios. But by consciously reframing our thoughts, you can break this cycle. So instead of thinking, what if everything goes wrong? You could try reframing it to, what if things go well? And even if they don't, I have the skills to handle it, and at least I'll learn something. This type of approach leads to feeling a greater sense of control over situations, and that then reduces anxiety, since a lot of anxiety tends to go hand in hand with feeling a loss of control. In relationships, reframing can improve communication and understanding. For example, if a friend cancels plans with you at the last minute, then your initial reaction might be disappointment or anger. However, reframing allows you to consider alternative explanations, like how your friend may be having a genuinely difficult day, and so you can respond in a more compassionate and understanding way. This type of shift in perspective can foster greater empathy and prevent misunderstandings. Reframing isn't about ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It's about finding a balanced view that acknowledges the challenges but also recognizes the possibilities. By practicing reframing, you're the one in control of your mindset. And that means you can start to navigate life's ups and downs with greater resilience and optimism. When you start practicing reframing, it can feel a bit weird, and maybe even challenging, especially if you're used to certain thinking patterns. But like any skill, it gets easier with practice. The simplest way to start is to ask yourself how you could potentially see a situation differently, and allow yourself time to explore that idea instead of just reacting. I'll discuss more of how to do all of that shortly, but first let's talk about why is reframing helpful. And this is the part of the show that I like to think of as Jeremy states the obvious again, because I think we intuitively know all of this stuff, but it's just that our emotions and our ego tend to get in the way. So we need to be reminded of the so-called obvious thing. And in this case, the obvious thing is that by choosing to look at things from a different perspective, and a more positive and optimistic one at that, means we're less likely to get sucked into a cycle of negative thinking that can drag us down and take us away from finding solutions to our challenges and moving forward. The thing is that shifting your perspective can lead to really profound changes in how you experience and respond to the world around you. And it enables you to navigate life's challenges with a much more positive and constructive mindset. Reframing helps you to break free from fixating on a single aspect of a situation. Life's challenges are rarely black and white, and by choosing to view them from different perspectives, you can begin to transform obstacles into opportunities, which not only helps you to manage stress more effectively, but also fosters a greater sense of peace and balance in your mind. Life is full of unexpected events, and our initial reactions to these events can often be negative or unhelpful, and grounded in heightened negative emotions. By consciously choosing to reframe your thoughts, you can transform your emotional reactions and give yourself space for your rational mind to join the conversation, all of which helps to foster a more resilient and solution-focused approach. For example, if you experience a setback at work, instead of dwelling on the failure, you can reframe it as a learning opportunity that will help you grow and improve, which it will, by the way, because mistakes play a big role in how we learn. Choosing this type of more positive outlook not only enhances your problem-solving abilities, but it also boosts your overall sense of well-being. Reframing is equally crucial in your interactions with others. Misunderstandings and conflicts often arise from negative assumptions and interpretations. By reframing, you can view situations from multiple perspectives, and that leads to better communication and stronger relationships. For example, if a colleague's comment seems harsh at first, then choosing to reframe it as constructive feedback rather than a personal attack can prevent unnecessary conflict and promote a more collaborative environment, and help your emotions to settle back down into a calmer state. When it comes to your mental health, reframing takes on an even more significant role. Our mental health is profoundly influenced by our thoughts and perceptions. Negative thinking patterns, like catastrophizing or self-criticism, can intensify feelings of anxiety, depression, and stress. And so reframing helps you to challenge these negative thoughts and replace them with more balanced and positive ones. It's a relatively simple shift in thinking, which can lead to significant improvements in your mental health and overall quality of life. Reframing also promotes greater emotional resilience. Life's ups and downs can be emotionally exhausting, but reframing helps you to view setbacks as temporary and manageable, which they are. which then helps you bounce back more quickly from difficulties and maintain a more stable emotional state. For example, if a relationship ends, reframing the situation to focus on personal growth and new opportunities can help you move forward with a more positive outlook while you process your grief about the end of the relationship. Proactively focusing on reframing can also lead to long-term benefits like rewiring your brain to default to more positive and constructive thoughts. Over time, this can lead to a more optimistic and empowered mindset, improving your overall mental health and well-being. It can also enhance your problem-solving abilities and creativity as you become more adept at viewing situations from different angles and finding innovative solutions. It can also improve your self-esteem and self-compassion, helping you develop a kinder and more supportive inner dialogue. It's a shift that can boost your confidence and help you treat yourself with a lot more compassion and understanding. So, how do you do that? Well, let's first take a quick break to hear from the brands who help me create this show each week.
Your favorite local grocery stores like Kroger, Ralph's, Fred Meyer, and more are now delivering on Uber Eats. Get 40% off your order of fresh, quality ingredients. Whether you just got home to an empty fridge or suddenly got a craving to whip up something new, you can get everything you need delivered in as little as 25 minutes. Get 40% off your order with code Kroger2026. Plus, members get $0 delivery fees. Order now on Uber Eats. Orders of $30 or more save up to $25 and $4.30.26. See app for details.
And welcome back. Now let's get into the how-to part of today's episode and let's talk about how to reframe things. Okay, to start with, pay attention to your thoughts. And really, this is about proactively identifying thoughts that are negative or unhelpful. Why? Because you can't change what you don't notice. A simple way to do this is by keeping a journal or notebook and taking a second to write down any negative thoughts or feelings as they arise. If you can add some context as well, like what was happening at the time, that will help you later as well. By becoming more aware of these types of thoughts, you're already halfway towards changing them, because awareness is the first step in change. Every week or two, take a look through the notes you've taken and identify any patterns, especially when it comes to specific situations or triggers, so you can begin to be more mentally prepared for them. Okay, next, stop and assess the situation. And this is as straightforward as catching yourself thinking negatively and then asking yourself how you could potentially see the situation differently. Take a few moments to think about things and consider other angles. What other possible explanations are there for the situation? What can you learn from whatever's happening or not happening? How can you turn this situation into an opportunity? This serves to activate your rational thought processes, and it helps you to start looking at the bigger picture. And speaking of that, my next tip is consciously look at the big picture. When you're faced with a challenging situation, try asking yourself questions that prompt you to look at the bigger perspective. Instead of thinking, why is this happening to me? Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Or, how can I grow from this experience? This helps because it shifts your focus to a more strategic viewpoint instead of letting yourself be bogged down by the specifics of this one situation. And it also helps to move your mentality from a place of victimhood to one of empowerment. Another way to do this is to ask yourself how important this issue will be in a year or 5 years from now. Viewing it in the context of your entire life helps put things in perspective and makes it seem less overwhelming. Next, find the silver lining. And continuing on with the mindset theme, This is about consciously looking for something positive in every situation, no matter how small. That might be a lesson learned, a new skill gained, a moment of personal growth, or even just the clear knowledge of what you don't want in the future. Finding the silver lining helps remind you that even difficult situations can have value. Do this by reflecting on your day and identifying at least one positive aspect of each challenging experience. Okay, next, challenge your assumptions. Often, our negative thoughts are based on assumptions rather than facts. Challenge these assumptions by asking yourself, is this really true? And what evidence do I have for this belief? Which encourages critical thinking and reduces the power of unfounded negative thoughts. I covered assumptions last week in episode 244 if you'd like to learn more. Okay, next, change your language. Pay attention to the language you use when you're thinking or talking about challenging situations and consciously replace negative phrases with positive ones. For example, instead of saying, I have to do this, try saying, I get to do this. Or instead of seeing something as a setback, label it as an opportunity. This type of small change can significantly impact your perception because it fosters a more grateful and opportunity-focused mindset. Next, focus on solutions rather than problems. So, when you're faced with a problem, choose to shift your focus from the problem itself to potential solutions. Why? Because that simple choice promotes proactive thinking and reduces feelings of helplessness. Start by brainstorming possible solutions and then taking small, actionable steps towards resolving the issue. The more you do that, the more you'll naturally gravitate towards solutions. Okay, next, seek out other perspectives. You're not always going to have all the answers to things, and that's perfectly fine. Nobody has all the answers, and so it can actually be a great opportunity to talk to someone you trust about the situation and get their perspective. Often you find that other people can see things from a different angle that you may not have considered. So, discussing it with someone can serve to broaden your understanding and reduce the type of tunnel vision that often accompanies stressful situations. You can do this by reaching out to a friend, family member, counselor, or therapist and discussing your thoughts and feelings openly. Okay, next, visualize positive outcomes. So instead of fixating on worst-case scenarios, take some time to visualize potential positive outcomes. Imagine things going well and how you'll feel when they do, and sit with those feelings for at least a few minutes, longer if you can. This helps reduce anxiety and it fosters a greater sense of optimism. Set aside a few minutes each day to close your eyes and let yourself imagine successful outcomes for your current challenges. Next, breaks problems into smaller parts. Well, let's face it, large problems can feel overwhelming. So reframe them by breaking them into smaller and more manageable parts, which helps to make the issue feel more controllable and less daunting. It's as simple as listing out each smaller task or step you need to take, and then tackling them one at a time. Okay, next, focus on your strengths. When you face a challenge, remind yourself of your strengths and past successes. After all, you've gotten through 100% of the challenges that life has thrown at you so far, and so this time will be no different. This type of mindset helps to boost your confidence and it encourages a positive outlook. You can do this by keeping a list of your strengths and accomplishments and referring to it when you need a confidence boost. Maybe make a list on your phone, which can be ready to go if and when you need it. Alright, next, change your environment. Sometimes a change of scenery can completely reframe your perspective because a new environment can stimulate new thoughts and ideas. Take a walk, go sit in a park for a while, visit a new cafe, try a new hobby, or even get stuck into rearranging your furniture to create a fresh space, whatever works for you. Just remember that old saying, a change is as good as a holiday. Okay, next, create a reframing playlist. Music has a powerful impact on your mood and perspective, and it can quickly shift your emotional state. So, create a playlist of songs that uplift you and encourage positive thinking. Curate songs with empowering lyrics and upbeat tempos, and play them whenever you need a mental boost. Next, write a letter to yourself. Imagine you're writing a letter to a good friend who's going through the same challenge. What advice would you give them? Now, sit down and write yourself a letter with that advice, along with lots of encouragement, which helps you step outside your situation and offer yourself compassionate advice. Next, keep a reframing jar. Write down some positive reframes for common negative thoughts on slips of paper, like, what's the opportunity here? And put them in a jar. When you're struggling, pull one out for instant inspiration. This helps to provide a quick and tangible way to shift your mindset, and it's as simple as creating a list of reframes and adding to your jar over time, then using it as a resource whenever you need a pick-me-up. Because when it comes to reframing and mental health, what it all boils down to is this. Reframing is a powerful tool that can transform the way you experience and respond to life's challenges. By shifting your perspective and consciously embracing a more positive outlook, you can navigate difficulties with greater resilience and optimism. Remember, you're in control of your mindset, and with practice, you can master the art of reframing. You're capable of creating a more positive mindset for yourself, one choice at a time. The choice is yours, as it is with all things related to your well-being. So, what choice will you make today? Each week I like to finish up by sharing a quote about the week's topic, and I encourage you to take a few moments to really reflect on it and consider what it means to you. This week's quote is by an unknown author, and it is, "When you replace 'why is this happening to me' with 'what is this trying to teach me,' everything changes." Let me repeat that. When you replace 'why is this happening to me' with 'what is this trying to teach me,' everything changes. Alright, that's nearly it for this week. How do you reframe things? If you're on Spotify, scroll down and share in the comment section below. Otherwise, let me know on Instagram at LTA Mental Health or comment on the transcript, which you can have delivered to your inbox each week. Sign up at ltamh.com or use the link in the episode description. And for more tips, follow my other Instagram account, it's Jeremy Godwin, plus become a paid supporter on Patreon for early access to ad-free episodes of all of my podcasts. Next week, I'll be talking about handling tough times in life. It's inevitable that sometimes we'll find ourselves knee-deep in difficult times, whether that's in our own lives or even with stuff that's going on in the world. And it can be hard to figure out how to stay positive when everything feels like a mess. So that's what I'll be exploring next time. I'll be talking about what handling tough times means, why dealing with tough times feels so challenging, and how to navigate tough times. That episode will be released on the 25th of August 2024, and I hope you'll join me for it. Hit follow on your podcast service and press the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Thank you very much for joining me today. Look after yourself and make a conscious effort to share positivity and kindness out into the world because you get back what you put out. Take care and talk to you next time. Let's Talk About Mental Health is an independent program proudly produced by Reconnaissance Media. For more information, visit reconnaissancemedia.com.